Listening Library presents Descendants 3, adapted by Carin Davis. Read for you by Kyla Garcia. Chapter 1. Remember Mal? She's the daughter of Maleficent, wicked wild child of the Isle turned proper lady of the court. At first, she tried way too hard to impress Ben and all of Auradon and totally lost herself. She was suffocating under all those layers of pale pink tulle. It wasn't her. So, she broke up with Ben, fled home to the Isle, and rediscovered her roots. Literally, Dizzy gave her lame blonde hair a fierce purple makeover. Mal's lifelong nemesis, Uma, who she calls Shrimpy, the daughter of Ursula, and her scallywag gang of wannabe pirates weren't too happy about Mal's return. Old turf wars and whatnot. Then there was the pirate duel, which was kinda legendary, as was the Royal Cotillion. Uma transformed into a giant octopus and threatened all Mal's friends. Mal went all fire-breathing dragon on her and saved Auradon. Uma was scared off for now, but all her antics made Mal realize that she does belong as a lady of Auradon. Mal can't deny that she'll always be part Isle, though. The true Mal lies somewhere in the space between. The other amazing thing that happened at Cotillion? Evie asked Ben to help bring over more VKs from the Isle to Auradon, to give them the same chance he gave the original VKs. And well... Chapter 2. Mal's mother always said it was good to be bad. She can't believe her mom was actually right about something. At dawn, a ragtag paperboy rode his rusted-out bicycle down a squalid Isle street. He careened over a teetering makeshift ramp and past a run-down tenement with "Long Live Evil" graffitied across its wall. The young street rat pulled a copy of the Troubled Times newspaper out of his grungy messenger bag and tossed it over his shoulder. "Hey, check it out!" he yelled to the other kids in the square. A curly-haired imp in a rumpled pink dress scampered to pick up the paper. "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Look at this!" the girl exclaimed in shock. The big, bold headline splashed across the front page read, "VK Day is here. 4 more to go ashore." "It's VK Day!" she squealed to the crowd of kids who'd gathered around for a peek at the paper. "I want them to pick me so bad." A detailed article described the progressive new holiday established by His Royal Highness King Ben and villain kid turned successful fashion designer, Evie. For the first time, any villain kid could apply to attend the kingdom's esteemed Auradon Prep. The new class would be hand-picked in person from among the Isle applicants by the original villain kids, Mal, Evie, Carlos, and Jay. Then, 1 week later, King Ben and the VKs would be back to escort the lucky students to Auradon to start the new school year. Many of the Isle kids had never lifted a pencil or sat behind a desk, let alone brought their teacher an unpoisoned apple. The hope was that the chosen students, like the inaugural class of VKs, would thrive amid the opportunities Auradon had to offer. As the paperboy tossed another paper nowhere close to anyone's door, Mal, Evie, Carlos, and Jay rounded the dilapidated street corner in step. Since making their own way in Auradon, the 4 friends had become folk heroes to the villain kids still stuck on the Isle. And now they were back in their old hood with good news. Make that great news. They ducked under clotheslines heavy with drip-drying rags and yelled for the Isle kids to rise and shine. Well, as much shining as could happen in the sunless place. It was time for all the young VKs to get up and step up. Auradon Prep was waiting. Mal and her close-knit squad strode with confidence down the grimy street and into a cobblestone square now named Mal Court. A group of inspired villain offspring had renamed the shabby square after seeing a clip of Mal on TV. The broadcast showed Lady Mal at Cotillion, giving a public shout-out to her Isle roots. The Isle kids knew she hadn't forgotten them. Mal turned toward her 3 best friends, bursting with excitement, as her purple hair, tinted a more violet hue than ever before, flew behind her in the wind. That day was going to be epic. She slayed in leather leggings, wedge high-top sneakers, and a fitted tailcoat. On the back of her coat were sculptured leather dragon wings that caged her signature two-dragon icon. Evie, daughter of Evil Queen, flashed a dazzling smile at Mal. After months of diligent planning and painstaking prep, VK Day was finally here. Evie exuded confidence and authority as her blue suede boots hit the pavement. She swept down the street like the leader she was, the essence of style in her short blue leather skirt and matching jacket, with her heart and crown emblem painted on the back. With his long dark brown hair and mischievous smile, Jay, the son of Jafar, wove easily through his old stomping ground. He radiated attitude, with his sleeveless leather vest and leather pants showing off his athletic build. Jay glanced at Carlos and laughed. They were about to change some lives forever. What an amazing feeling. Carlos, son of Cruella de Vil, rolled through the street, energized by the big day to come. Once thought of as puppy dog cute, with his face full of freckles, Carlos had grown up and was now coming into his own. He was also super edgy. All the VKs were. He had shocking white hair with black roots and wore a red, white, and black jacket with a flipped-up fur collar. He'd come a long way from the boy who was afraid of everything, particularly his mother and puppies, and he couldn't wait to pass his good fortune forward. At the end of the crumbling street, Mal, Evie, Carlos, and Jay broke apart and fanned out in every direction, eager to get the word out about VK Day. They headed down dusty alleys littered with overturned wheelbarrows and snaked through dismal passageways filled with desolate shacks. Jay literally shouted the news from the tin rooftops. They urged all the villain kids they could find to hit the streets. VK Day offered a chance for any aisle urchin who wanted to be like them. And didn't everyone want to be like them? Mal moved through a courtyard, doing her best to spread the word. She wanted these kids to know they had the opportunity to join her in Auradon and live their best life. A young girl in a threadbare purple dress pushed open her window and waved her Auradon application excitedly at Mal. Mal looked up and saw kids in every broken window and rotting doorframe around the courtyard, gripping their applications. She smiled, realizing just how many next-gen VKs were choosing to be good. While Mal circled through the courtyard, Carlos stormed through the aisle orphanage, with its rickety bunks and walls with chipped paint. He bounded by a plaque that read, "Carlos House," and he chuckled. He still couldn't believe these little mischief makers looked up to him. But it warmed his heart. He yanked a ratty blanket off a sleeping boy who jolted awake. The boy stared in awe for several seconds when he saw Carlos standing at the foot of his bed, then grabbed his application from beneath his lumpy pillow and pushed it into Carlos's gloved hand. Down the block, Evie stood beneath the weathered curl up and die sign and waited with giddy anticipation. She raised her gaze to the sign, which depicted a giant pair of scissors crisscrossing a faded perfume bottle, just to check that it was real. She'd imagined that moment again and again, ever since she'd dispatched royal couriers to that very spot with a scroll the past spring. But this time it wasn't a daydream. Dizzy Tremaine, still holding her broom, bolted out of the shabby salon's double doors wearing a patchwork dress and nightcap. She hugged Evie, whom she looked up to like a big sister, and the two girls marveled at what that day meant for kids on the aisle. Evie and Dizzy talked over each other, trying to catch up on months of conversation in mere minutes, as they strutted down a back street to meet up with Mal, Jay, and Carlos. Evie was thrilled to see so many aspiring students. She hoped there were even a few fellow chemistry fans in the crowd. VK Day had truly turned out to be everything she'd envisioned, and so much more. The rowdy group walked by Jay, who was pumped about giving back to other misguided aisle kids. To kids like these, Jay was a hero. He was a celebrated athlete and team leader. Jay accepted applications from several kids, and went on.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?